Hey everyone, welcome back to this week's podcast. I wanted to say, President Trump announced Tuesday night that he's running for president. Some people might feel that it's too early, some people might not like the fact that he's running, some people might think that his time is done, some people might be Democrats, whatever the case is. But when the hackstablishment media goes ahead and shows off how establishment they are and how full of political hacks they are, it's a sight to behold. I'm going to say this. The New York Post is somewhat of a right-leaning paper. Florida man announces that he's running for president. And then they read a whole page article, a short little article, not a whole article, a short little article saying, putting down President Trump. They're quite literally saying that they don't want him to win. And we're not going to get into the hack establishment media on the left. That's not something that we're going to be talking about. Because that's just obvious. Then the Washington Examiner says that people don't want it, everything else, and they write opinion articles. I want to make this clear. Very clear. When the hack establishment media shows that they're hack establishment, that they're political hacks and their establishment, and they begin endorsing candidates from the get-go, from the time that President Trump announced his run, the media has no right to do that. The media has to give him a chance. The media has to give him a chance to re-win back his base. The media has to give him a chance to speak his mind. Then they go ahead to say that the speech was low energy. And I see Trump supporters saying that the speech was full of energy. The hack establishment media is busy showing themselves. Which is what I want to talk about. When someone is in the media, they have a job. That is to ask questions of everybody. Hold everyone accountable. Give you nothing but the news. They're not telling you the story, but they're telling you a story. That's what we have now. Because they're covering their own back pockets, and they're covering the back pockets of the political donors behind them. The ones that they like. They're kissing up. The media is busy being the arm of certain political parties. When the media goes ahead and tells you a story, not the story that they want you to, that is the truth, then you cannot trust anybody. The media is there to tell you what the parties want you to hear. You know, I grew up knowing that if I want to know something, just look it up in the news. What does the news say? What's in the news? The news. You know, it's not all about what the news says. The news now cannot be trusted. Fine and dandy. Unfortunately, it's not, but whatever. But how are we supposed to believe our eyes? How are you supposed to believe someone who says there's an unbiased news source and then it goes ahead and endorses a candidate? Between Hillary and Trump, or Trump and DeSantis, how are you supposed to believe the news? News has to be unbiased. News has to be that what's news is news. If someone has questions about him, the questions are not off limits. They're asked. Someone doesn't like the fact that President Biden's son was involved in some corrupt dealings. The media has to ask those questions. That's the media's job. Whether or not they want to admit it, that's their job. The media's job is to hold everyone accountable and be there to show everyone who they are, who these candidates are, and let people decide for themselves if they want the candidate or not. When the hack establishment media goes ahead and tells people the story is hearsay, the story about the Hunter Biden laptop is hearsay. It's Russian disinformation. They are legitimately taking orders from the left because they want a puppet in the White House. When the media goes ahead and they put down President Trump over Ron DeSantis, again, you have to question, who is the media working for? Is Ron DeSantis paying them money to do this? I highly doubt it. Ron DeSantis is a good governor. However, I have issues with him. President Trump, I also have issues with him. I'm going to be honest. I am not endorsing on this podcast any candidate. I'm going to say it straight up. Everybody has their own issues. Who I vote for is not really your opinion, your business. You can look up to me as someone who gives you an opinion about what goes on in politics. But the second I start choosing for you who to vote for your back pocket, that's where the line gets crossed. I'm not interested in you voting because I told you that he has to be the one for you. Now, politicians can endorse because you voted for him for his political knowledge. I'm not a politician. I might be an activist for the Constitution. I might give you an opinion about people acts on the Constitution, but I will not endorse somebody. It's not my job. Because one day, I might be looked at like a journalist. As I try to resurrect trust in journalism. As I try to show you that journalism can be unbiased. You know as much as anybody that Yossi Schmidt is a Republican. I still will not endorse somebody. Because that's not my goal. My goal is to give you the facts. As unbiased as possible can be. I am therefore not going to tell you if I want Ron DeSantis or I want President Trump. But I will tell you one thing. The hack establishment media makes it their job to tell you who to vote for. Leave your establishment alone. Leave the establishment. That is what I'm trying to do with TWS Nightly News Roundup. And if we become a news organization in the future, which we'll get more into on February 6th, 2023, on TWS's 5th birthday, if we get there, then again, I'll separate the podcast from the news organization. And then maybe I'll endorse. But as of now, I am the face of TWS. I am the face. And therefore, I want to rebuild your trust in news. So therefore, I verify things 5,000 times before I put it into the roundup. And even then, I'm infallible. The other day, I made a mistake. I'm not infallible. I am fallible. The other day, I made a mistake and I put a thing that Russia, a mistake, sent to Ukraine a missile into Ukraine, into Poland. It was not true. And I fully own that. You see, I verify things 5,000 times. But when I was in a rush the other day, because I had a meeting and I messed up. Dan Bongino has a rule. You have to wait 24 hours before knowing if a real story is true. And I always thought that when it comes to war, people wouldn't joke around and people wouldn't lie. I was wrong. So for that, I fully apologize. And the hack establishment media will never apologize for what they did. They'll continue pushing the blame on Russia for something that Ukraine did. And U.S. is doing that too. They're saying ultimately, Russia bears responsibility. Stop showing your hack establishment media self. Show the people that you care. The link to the news roundup will be in the show notes. But seriously, people, verify news even from the news roundup. Verify news for yourself. Look up to see where the source is. Look up to see if this news is being reported on the right, on the left. No matter where, what, when, and how. Look up to see where the media is from. And do your own verification. I'm sick and tired of the hack establishment media. They're not just an establishment, they're hacks. They're political hacks. They need to be stopped. America, you can do better. People, step up and verify news for other people. You can do this. Now, quick update. TWS has almost done our review of Truth Social. I finished reading the terms of service and the privacy policy. I have yet to go through their legal policy, which I will do shortly. I will compile all the questions into one email, send it to the support email, send it to a VIP email, send it to the legal policies, and send it to the privacy policy department. They will have a week to respond. After that week, I will compile it all into a review, rate them on a scale of 1 to 10. If they responded, will be in the rating. If they lie and how transparent they are in their policies, will go into the rating. How easy the platform is to use will go into the rating. And based on that, I will give them a rating out of 10. And I will tell you my opinion. That's where I'm going to give you an opinion. But still, make your own decision on Truth Social. The problems that I have are not really that much. But one problem is the lack of transparency when they claim to be very transparent. America, we can do better. In America, remember this. Hold everyone accountable. I'll see you next week.